Hello everyone and welcome back to BSG 33. We are moments away from starting our Metroid Fusion run, but before we get started, my name is Kroll. I'll be your host for the next couple of runs, and I'm just not going to keep you guys waiting any longer. I think I'm just going to throw you guys over to Boxmeister with Metroid Fusion.
Ladies and gentlemen, good Sunday. Welcome here. Let's get into this game because it's a long category, so I'll do a soft reset first. We need to do that before the start. So is Tech ready to start your timer? Yes. Okay, in 3, 2, 1, go! So, welcome to Metroid Fusion. One of the most linear Metroid game, I suppose, but it has a lot of interesting tech. It's very modern. It's the successor to Super Metroid, but it is on the GBA. So you can imagine the Super Nintendo has 4 face buttons, so A, B, X, R, Y, and the L and R triggers. Well, in GBA only has A, B and the L and R, so you have a lot less to work with. So they simplified the movement scheme, but it's a very effective moving scheme, and it's a very good controlling Metroid game. And you may notice already we encounter a lot of text in this game because story is driven by you being on a mission to investigate what happens on the space station over here. And some strange explosion happened in the quarantine bay, but the quarantine bay, well, looks wrecked, but there's an enemy in there, and we can easily kill it and progress. So, a little bit of a backstory. Before the start of the game, you were sent on a mission to planet SR388. Planet SR388, for those of you who don't know the Metroid series as well, is the home planet for the Metroids. So, in Metroid 2, so that's the old GB one or the recently released remake on the 3DS, Samus got sent to the planet to eradicate the Metroids. So the Metroids are extinct by this point in the series. Oh, almost got that. But well, she got sent there with a group of researchers, but got infected by a parasite. And the ex-parasite, as we find out by now in the game, is a parasite that invades a creature, copies it, and kills it. So yeah, we barely survived the ex-parasite infection due to vaccine made from the cells of the last living Metroids, which got killed in Super Metroids. But yeah, you saw me do a couple of things in the intro. You saw what you may have seen is that I do a lot of running, because running on the ground is the fastest form of movement at this point. You saw me do wall jumping. In other Metroid games, you can keep wall jumping on the same wall to gain height. You can't do that in this game because you get boosted off the wall with each wall jump. However, if you do a wall jump, you do get a faster forward momentum boost compared to jumping forward. So sometimes we do wall jumps to boost ourselves a little bit further ahead. Items in this game, the major upgrades do not count towards the item percentage, so yeah, you may have noticed I'm running 100%. All these 100 items in the 400% are expansion tanks, so missile expansions, energy tanks, and power bombs. So that means you get an overkill of missiles, power bombs, and energy tanks, but we'll get to that later. The major upgrades in this game can't be skipped because the game is very linear. It has an event system, so you can't really do things out of order. As a result, the major upgrades do not count towards the item percentage, as mentioned. And a few of the items I collect just now, these 2 missile tanks here, are items you collect in any percent as well, because you do need a good bunch of missiles in the run, and they're pretty quick to collect. Before each boss, you get these eye doors, and they can fire beams and you can't hurt them, or they open their eyes and you can shoot missiles in them. If you time the missiles properly, you can get 2 missiles in per round. And by now it takes 3 missiles to kill. As you can see, I only got 2 singles and 3 singles total to kill the Idor, so it's a bit different. Now here's the first route deviation from any percent no memory corruption, I should say. But this has a result for the first boss fight because you're 1 missile down. You need to shoot the block away with the missile, so your ammo management is slightly tighter for this boss fight. This boss is a bit random if it can roll or not. It didn't roll, so it's very quick fight. First boss. The first boss gives you the morph ball. You saw a ton of stuff happening in this fight. Well, the first phase is very straightforward. I spammed missiles into it and hope it doesn't roll. If it rolls, then you can't do damage to it. But it didn't roll, so I could get a very quick kill out of it. The second phase with the spiky orb moving around. What I did there is I spaced 2 missiles such that they hit the enemy at the same time. Normally you fire 1 missile into it, it is invulnerable and yeah. But what was I talking about? Yeah, if you only fire 1 missile into a core X, then it gets invulnerable and you have to wait before you fire another missile. But by spacing it properly, you can use techniques to get multiple missiles in, and that saves a round per battle. So initially we thought the threat of the X-Parasites was only limited to the quarantine bay and the enemy the boss we just fought. But it turns out they invaded the bio sectors of this laboratory. For a little bit of background story, this is a space laboratory and it has multiple ecological sectors to study wildlife. And here you may be a little bit confused, because this looks surprisingly a lot like us. Except she or it, I should say, is not. Because, like I mentioned before, we got infected by the X-Parasites, and they copy and kill the host. Well, we survived the encounter, but in the process, parts of our suits got cut away to try and fight the infection, resulting in our altered appearance. But those infected parts were sent to the ship for study, and that's where the whole X-Parasite plague stemmed from. So now we're basically sent to clean up the mess the X-Parasites made. As a result of the Metroid vaccine, we are invulnerable to X-Parasites, and we can absorb them like the green and the yellow and green goop we see. Green being missiles, yellow being health. I'm at a roughly normal missile amount of missiles compared to any percent as well. Don't have any. We have 1 extra missile tank, although in any percent it's optional to pick it up. But Sector 1 is a very movement-intensive sector, and it's also very tight on ammo management. As a result, what you do want is to take as little damage as possible so that you only get missile drops. Because the game gives you missiles when you're down on missiles but full on HP. And that's the ideal way to do that room. Kill the enemies, get the energy tank. This energy tank we don't pick up in any percent because it's slow. But yeah, for 100% we'll definitely need quite a few of them. 100 items total. Yeah, you see multiple strats to kill the enemies and be fast. It is a bit of luck if you're not on full HP, depending on whether you get missile drops or not. Right now I'm full HP, so all the drops that'll spawn should be green, which is good. But I have more than enough missiles right now. I only want a minimum. I need a minimum of 3 for the next Idor before the boss, because it still takes 3 missiles to kill. After that, Idors will go down quicker, and dang it, I forgot to fire a missile. Okay, got it. Slightly less optimal, but I'll take it. Yeah, in this sector we're sent to clear the atmospheric stabilizers, as they're called, because they got infected by the X-parasites to raise the temperature for them breeding. But well, we clear them and we make our way through the sector. Now for this I-door, like I said, this last I-door where doubles, because you can also get doubles into I-doors, is relevant, but it's pretty hard because you need a certain spacing for it, and you barely have enough room. I didn't get it, and I get quite a few beams, so that's one of the major RNG parts in this game. So for the next boss, well, this looks like the Chozo statues from the other games, but it turns out to be an enemy in disguise. Now for the I-core axes, they work a bit differently because you need to hit the eye. But you can get doubles in them as well, but they're pretty hard to get in. I didn't get any, but it was still pretty okay fights. So this beam core axe gave me the charge beam, and charge beam is one of the most broken upgrades in this game, because the charge beam basically doubles your beam as well. Because beam consists of 3 parts when you fire it. A part close to the arm cannon, the flare, and the 2 parts shooting out. So in some boss fights we'll use this mechanic to do more damage to the boss and kill it quicker. But it also means that you can shoot out 2 blocks instead of just one. So it's really overpowered. And in this, in terms of major item progression in this game, you get the missiles first, then you get the charge beam, which makes it more powerful than missiles. And at some point you get missile upgrades so that the missiles are more powerful again, and then you get beam upgrades which make your beam more powerful. So it goes back and forth basically. That's the last stabilizer I've cleared. So basically we did a loop through the sector, because we could have also gone here at the beginning. But it's much faster to do it now since we now have charge beam. Yeah, we leave the sector at near full HP and ammo, so that's pretty optimal. That's pretty much what you want to see. Lost a little bit of time due to RNG, so that's why my estimate has a little bit more wiggle room for this game. A lot of stuff can go wrong, and you can get bad RNG, and bad RNG can cost you 1 or 2 minutes easily. Luckily for all I-doors up until now, because our charge beam is much faster, stronger I mean, the I-doors only need 1 shot to kill the eye, so it cuts down considerably in length. In time it can waste after this, per door that is. Yeah, we get a lot of these elevator cutscenes and text guiding you where to go. You may have noticed that I'm playing on the Japanese version. Up until about half a year, 3/4 of a year ago, we went by in-game time, so that means that text is irrelevant, because in-game time only runs when you're in control of Samus, more or less. So every version was viable, but Japanese, well, has less text and faster text, so it's 3 minutes faster RTA. However, 3/4 of a year ago, we switched to RTA, because we finally got an allowed setup on emulator as well. Got tested out nicely, and it works. So really glad with that. But that does mean that the Japanese version now is a lot more prevalent, since it saves 3 minutes RTA. It's interesting nonetheless. If you compare to the English version, it's so much feels so much faster. There's also there's also supposed to be the IQE version, which is the Chinese version, but that one is so rare and so non-obtainable that we banned it for now. Now this sector 2 is the jungle sector. Sector 1 was was a copy of SR388. Sector 2 is the jungle sector, so you have a lot of these worms, the Zoros. And the Zoros deal almost half an E-tank damage, so in any percent where you don't pick up as many E-tanks, you need to be really careful not to take too much damage here. This in this game, some doors are also limited to security levels, denoted by the colors of the door. So it's not like a red door is a missile door like in other games, but it's just a security level you need to open. Well, and the security levels and the upgrades are driven story-wise. So now that we have the security level, we can go to the data room where we can download the upgrades. So we downloaded the missiles about at the 3-minute mark of the game, and now we download our next upgrades. Did I make it? Ooh, that jump is very tight. You need to be on the right pixel to make that jump. So really cool that I got that. Yeah. Movement in this game is pretty important. And for 100% movements can make a lot of difference. Pacing is a bit different of 100%, so you need to pick up a lot of extra items. Like this tank, for example, you would never pick it up in any percent, because it's really slow to get otherwise. So the difference is, I haven't talked about the difference between 100% and any percent yet, but the difference is mostly that you have a big cleanup of all the sectors at the end of the game, and it's very technical. So it's a lot of fun. Currently, we have a Metroid Fusion tournament, Metroid Fusion 100% tournament going on Speed Gaming. I'm competing in that as well, actually. So there's a bit of activity on 100%. Now that we got bombs from the data room, you see a lot of traversing through tunnels. The thing is, though, in other Metroid games you would be able to time the bombs and then gain heights infinitely if you want to. You can't do that in this game because they made the bomb timings really slow. Yeah, my goal in this game, in this sector, is to find a way out. Because after I downloaded in the room, my exit got blocked. And it turns out that it was by our evil clone you saw on the top of the elevator earlier, the SCX. A little bit of a spoiler, we're gonna see the SCX up close soon. I will take a little bit of safety for that, because in 100% we can play it a bit more risky. In any percent, you just... well, most runners would wait out the SCX encounter after the next boss. In 100% we can play it a bit more risky, but I'll get to that. Right now we're approaching the next boss, because we can't exactly get out of this sector yet. Because we can't... well, the exit is pretty high up, and we can't jump that high yet. So you may have a guess what the next upgrade is gonna be. And you see here that the charge beam kills the eye door in one shot, so it cuts a lot of the time waiting out that you have to wait otherwise. This is Sazabi. Sazabi can take 3 to 12 jumps, and it already did 3 jumps on the first turn, which is the maximum it can do. So it can do between 0 and 3 on the first turn, 1 and 4 on the second, and 2 and 5 on the third. Right now I'm already at 5, I think, 6, 7... okay, 7 jumps. That's somewhere in the middle. It's fine. At the last phase it always jumps and you can shoot it. What? Okay, that shot apparently missed. Here we can make use of the doubles once again. So I fired 2 into it, so it went to yellow immediately, and then I timed missiles there, got another double, so it's 2 doubles, and little shout out to Double Double, or Nintendo Land runner. Cause you know, firing doubles in Metroid Fusion is fun. You may have noticed that in those fights we do manipulate the core movement by moving in a specific way, and that's we do that to line it up with basically we create a wall of missiles. Also, I should take safety here. The reason I'm going back for the safety, and I do want to do that, is because I can die in the upcoming parts. That's why I take this save to save. So, in any percent, you would wait out the SCX cutscene. You can't get past it or you get killed. In 100%, we have enough E-tanks to do so. So you can guess what we're gonna do. We're gonna play it a bit risky, so bear with me. We get frozen here. We survived this, and we got a good pattern. This is nice. That encounter can go 3 ways. You either completely mess up and die. That's an option. Or you can get hit an additional time and end on 1 HP, or you get the case that we have now, basically 199 HP left, and that's the ideal case. With 1 HP, I would go for a refill. With this amount of health, I don't need to go for a refill. Yeah, that's a bit of a time save. Otherwise, in any percent, we wait until the SAX is out of the door, which takes longer, really. It's an optimization you can do in 100%. But yeah, we're in a pretty safe spot with regards to our health. This is about the maximum health you have in any percent by this point, so it's really fine. And that's the most dangerous part in this category, really, because soon enough we'll have enough energy tanks that we're basically in no danger of dying in this run ever. But yeah, taking it risky on the SCX encounter is fun. We'll encounter the SCX a few more times throughout this run, especially since she's one of the final bosses. But we'll talk about the peculiarities of those SCX encounters when we get to them. Basically, it's not really a smart parasite. Let's put it this way. So, right now we entered Sector 4. Sector 4 is the water sector. And there's a specimen in this water sector that can go attack at very fast speeds. And it's doing a lot of damage to the sector, so we're sent to kill it, basically. We do deviate a little bit in this sector to pick up a few items. Of all the 6 sectors hanging under the biological laboratory, Sector 4 is the first one to be completely cleared of items, although we're not going to clear it at the first visits. Yeah, this sector is one of my favorites because it has a lot of cool movement. And here I make use of a peculiarity of the charge beam shot. If you have a fully charged shot and you press R, then it fires the shot without changing your movement state, and that's important because if I would release the B button to fire it normally, if I were in spin jump like this, you see that I get out of spin jump. But by using R, you don't break out of spin, and that's going to be really important later in the run, because it will allow some very special movements. So this energy tank is 100% exclusive, of course, because it's really out of the way. But it also each E-tank picked up also refills our health, so that's why after this point in 100% you're not worried about health for the rest of the run. Yeah, you do some interesting stuff here. The game intends you to bomb out this thing and climb on the ceiling rail, but you can do that and just get over to the other side a little bit quicker. Water in those main areas is electrified because there's some cables got cut loose, and that's why you take damage in the water. But it's not as much damage, so basically doing a small trip through the water is not too big a deal. Now here is a climbing segment where we make use of the wall jumps. I missed that. Okay, I messed up. I did kill it though. And here you see, you saw 2 blocks in the way, but one single shot clears the 2 of the blocks since it consists of 2 parts. The beam part that's traveling out. Now, the next boss, Ceres is its name, by the way. Well, you see its remains here, but that's because it got infected by an X-parasite, so a copy of it is swimming somewhere. And Ceres is where the charge beam mechanics come in handy, because, like I mentioned, beam consists of 3 parts. Two parts traveling out in the shot and 1 part near the arm cannon. So basically you can clear Ceres in 2 full charge shots. So I'm gonna focus a little bit here. I think I got both parts in, all 3 parts in. Otherwise it will take an additional round. Yeah, I need to wait for its vulnerability to pass. And yes, this is 2 rounds, so this is good. I'm setting up for the doubles, but I didn't have the good position. That was not a double, I think. That was a double. And that was the fight. This fight is really tricky, because you only have these platforms to stand on, and if you land in the water, well, you're getting slowed down a lot, and it's a pain to kill Ceres from there. But that went really well, and we got the speed booster from Ceres, so basically after a certain amount of running you can dash through certain blocks, but you can also charge that, and I did that there to break those blocks down below. And that's called a Shine Spark. And Shine Spark is used, well, for several items. It's necessary to get several items in the game. It's a hidden mechanic. Super Metroid teaches it through you to the Atcoons and the Dagoras, also known as the animals, from Kale and Save the Animals. Yeah, it's used a couple of times. It's used several times in the run. However, it's not always the fastest thing to use, because the thing with the Shine Spark is it has a startup animation and a bonking animation, and those parts of the animation are particularly slow, so usually it's much faster to just end with a jump or just keep in speed boost. Also, did I just make that jump? That jump is tight, by the way. That's looking pretty good. Yeah, normally in any percent you would charge the spark on that platform for the bumps, and then spark to the right to get out. You would want low height here, but don't need it today, because I need to pick up another item in this tunnel here. In any percent you would dash straight through. But here I use a speed boost and Shine Spark to get that item a little bit quicker, because walking through water is slow, as you may have noticed by now. And here I'll look if I can go for... Ah, no. If you have a speed boost and you walk off a platform, on the frame that you land, if you press down, you can charge the Shine Spark still. Because you press... unfortunately, that's pretty tight, and it's... well... It's not as useful in 100% as it is in any percent, because in any percent you can use it to skip a setup. But in 100% you need to get an item, so it's not as useful in a later point. Now, you may have noticed each sector starts with a navigation room, a save room, and a recharge refill room. Well, that's always since that's always the same part. Since we now have speed booster, we always charge a Shine Spark there, and the reason we do so is because we can make our way faster on the elevator platform. Same goes for the top of the elevator hub. You have a lot of walking between the elevators, so you see a lot of speed boosting throughout run. And yeah, these are really dead moments. So if you want to read something or basically want to talk about the cause, if you're on the elevator hub, feel free to interrupt me. There's nothing happening there.
Well, I can talk about some upcoming donation incentives if you want.
Go ahead.
We still have a few donation incentives open for our Omen site and Goat Simulator run. For Goat Sim, there is the bid war between Penguin and Goat. Currently, Penguin is in a 13 euro lead. Wait, no, 26 euro and 37 cent lead. Sorry, over Goat. And then we have 2 incentives for Omen Sight. The final boss without stun lock, which I imagine is going to make that a lot more difficult, so that should be interesting. That's currently sitting at 13 euros out of 75. And then we've got the hard mode incentive, which is currently sitting at 17 out of 100. So if you want to get either of those donations in, or if you want to change the lead for Penguin or Goat, be sure to get your donations in. All of them will be going to a fantastic charity, so well worth the money, I'd say.
Okay, so Sector 3, this is the sector where things are getting heated, because really it's the heated sector. Not joking, actually. We open another security level in this sector to get more access. It's security level 2. And the moment security level 2 is opened, the enemies start appearing in the sector, because right up until now this sector was relatively clear. And yeah, we make our way to a data room in this sector. Let's see if I can get this trick here. Nice. So basically I broke the block, broke the speed booster block and managed to charge on the edge of that. And that's called a shine break, a charge break. And that allows us another spark to get up that room a little bit quicker. Okay. Now, this charge beam has been stronger than the missiles for a while, but right now we're gonna get a missile upgrade. In other Metroid games you would get an additional ammo count of super missiles, but in this game the missile upgrades stack. So your missiles get upgraded to super missiles, get upgraded to ice missiles, get upgraded to the fusion missiles. The problem with the missile upgrades, however, is that they take they have a bigger cooldown between the shots, and they travel faster. So that means it's much more difficult to get doubles on core axis using the supers. As you can see, I meshed those missiles. It's not as fast as normal missiles were. And that means that for each set of bosses concerning a set of specific missile upgrades, you have to adjust to different timings. Now, meet Box here. Box is a security robot, but he's gone a bit rogue. Okay, that didn't went well. Okay, I did kill him. That didn't went as clean as I wanted it to, but Box, I chased him away. Poor Box. So, we're making our way to the end of the sector here. In any percent you would be quite low on ammo after the Box fights. You would need a minimum of 3 missiles for the next sector. However, in 100% we're not worried about our ammo count currently at all, since we have so much missiles that we, well, basically never run out. It took a little bit much damage apparently. Didn't know why, but I'll take it a little bit safer. That does mean that I don't get the speed boost, since it'll take a certain distance before the speed booster kicks in. Took it a little bit risky on the Box. Yeah, with Sector 3 open and the data room destroyed by the security robots, we have to get our upgrades somewhere else. So we get sent to Sector 6. Sector 6 is the nocturnal sector, so it's a lot of darkness. A little bit spooky. Yeah, spooky, yeah, you get a lot of spookiness in this game. This game is great for its atmosphere. You basically, you have to think of this way. You're the only alive human on a spaceship, and you're getting chased by an evil doppelganger, which has all of your previous powers. So that's pretty, it's pretty intense if you play it for the first time.
Much spoopy for sure.
Yeah, definitely. It's fun. Fun fact: the Metroid series was actually based on the Alien film series. The directors were a great fan of those. You see a lot of similarities in plot and design between the two series, actually. I think Metroid Fusion coincides with Alien Evolution, I think. Little bit of fun facts. Now, since we opened the second security level, the X-Parasites also got access to Sector 5. And Sector 5 is the Arctic sector, so a lot of cold. We can't go there because we got Metroid cells, and Metroids are vulnerable to cold. You can freeze them with the ice beam and all that such. But the X-Parasites evolved and took on the properties of the Arctic sector in their blue form. So if we absorb them, we'll take damage from them. So that's why we get sent to collect the Varia suit. And the Varia suit gives us temperature resistance against extreme heat and extreme cold. So after we get the Varia suit, we're fine. And the Varia suit we need to download from the data room here. So it's just a matter of dodging the parasites. Nice, I got that shot.
Mind if I butt in here with a quick donation?
Go ahead.
We just got €5 from Rickle saying, "Hello, BSG."
Hi, Rick. Sitting on audio. So this is another SCX encounter. You see those blocks? Those are power bombs blocks. We don't have power bombs, but our evil doppelganger does. So she's gonna clear it for us. We have to wait for it. However, this is a bit up close how we're gonna play it. Because we just let her jump over us because she's not that smart. The AI of the SCX encounters is really not that great, so we can easily dodge it. Now the only really dangerous encounter is the first one if you play it risky like you do in 100%, and the final boss, because the final boss, is not easy, of course. So we get a few items in this sector, and we're almost up to our next boss. Now we have the choice. We can kill the Idors with a charge beam, but the super missile also does the job in one shot. And I'm getting a lot of beams. They can fire a maximum of 4 beams. You can also get no beams, which would be amazing, but I'm not that lucky. So, and this Corix apparently downloaded our upgrade, so we have to fight it here. And here we make use of the charge beam yet again to get the maximum damage on. And if you do it properly, which I didn't, you can clear it in 4 shots. But I lost control of the pattern. Now here I need to make use of the supers to get the doubles, and it seems that it's working. Okay, that was a little bit off in terms of timing. Okay, yeah, that was... It's fine. And we got it. The Varia suits. Now the Varia suits, with each suit upgrade you get different colors, and the Varia suit by far has the most ugliest colors in this game. Because it's sort of greenish with purplish. It looks like someone had a bit of a hangover, basically. So, normally in any percent you would immediately go to the right and continue, but we need to collect a few items at 100%. And these worms are annoying. Those worms tend to get in the way. Okay, got a morph. Ooh, oh, you also see those blue enemies spewing gas. Those are called puffers, and if you shoot them, damage them, they fire gas in all 4 directions, which means that their hitbox doubles in size, you can take damage from them. They really tend to get in the way in this sector. Luckily they only appear in this sector, so it's not that big a deal, but they're annoying. And here we make use of some movement. You may have noticed that when I entered the sector, I bombed a wall, and that's to prepare for getting an item on the way out. We also bomb another wall to prepare for collecting an item when we return to the sector later.
Can
you
I
see that... Go ahead.
No, sorry. Can I do a donation here?
Go ahead.
We just got €2 from Luna Manar saying, Fusion is one of those games that proves the GBA isn't just a poor man's SNES. It's such a beautiful game, and I'm happy we're getting to see so much of it in 100% of this BSG. Well, thank you for your donation.
Thank you very much. Yeah, 100% you basically see all of the space station. So yeah, it's a really it's a category that shows off a lot. There's a lot of technique into this category because some items in particular really require a lot of technique. The thing is though, for it's mostly similar to any %, but it adds a whole lot of gameplay at the end because you go through all the sectors cleaning them up. That's also where a lot of the technical difficulty lies. So you have a lot of things that can go wrong at the end of the game. So that can make it a little bit of a rough category at times, but it's a very safe category otherwise because you get a lot of items. You have a lot of health, you have a lot of ammo. So yeah, we'll make our way to Sector 5 now, the Arctic sector as mentioned before. Since the data room in Sector 6 got demolished, we need to go there. And since we now have the Varia suit, we can traverse the colds as well as we can. So we'll get sent on a mission to, well, first, before we can access the data room, we need to clear a security level again. There are 4 security levels total, as you can see on the screen, and level 1 and 2 we unlocked earlier. We're gonna unlock level 3 to get to the data room. Now this sector, Sector 5, is the sector that we visit the most times throughout the run. And as a result, runners can get confused on what they actually are supposed to be doing in the sector, and that can result in some big movement errors, because you make... to clear the security level and get to the data room, you basically have to make a big loop throughout the run, and some people forget to get the upgrades and have to and get sent back, or some people on their next visit, for example, try to go for the security levels again, even though they've already cleared it. You can get confused pretty easily in here. We can clear a lot of enemies through the use of our missiles here. Yeah, these thin walls you can actually clip the missiles through to get to the waivers. That's pretty intense. So we're getting close to the security level. Security level 3, the yellow doors. Last one has the red doors. But well, it'll take a little bit before we open that one. This is a fun little room. It's a lot of platforming. You may notice that I kill enemies by spin jumping into them with a fully charged shot. That's called a pseudo screw attack. And it uses the charge shot. It's useful for the weaker enemies, basically. So now I need to remember to go right to collect the upgrades and not go up, because the story won't progress unless you get do everything in order. So you get blocked and sent back. There's no way to sequence break kids.
Let me know when you have a moment.
Yes.
We just got a €10 donation from Ross saying, loving the Metroid Fusion run, great commentary by Box. Also, Penguin hype. Noot noot!
Hey Ross. This is another hidden upgrade. Make use of our ice missiles we just collected to get them. Now we need to wait for this ripper. Dang it. I got unlucky there. The X-Parasites went in my direction and I absorbed it. And that means I have to reset the room. Please don't do that again. No. Okay. Okay, we're good. We're good. We're good. Almost messed that up again. It's a bit of an RNG where the Ripper spawns, so you need to get it in a specific position to collect a missile tank, and I got a bit unlucky there. We still managed. Now we have to take a different way out of here. That can get us immediately back to the top. This is shorter than the other route we've just taken, and I messed up. Let's... Okay. I forgot a part of the puzzle here. Getting distracted, which I shouldn't do. Now this is better. Now we have a speed boost. Otherwise you can't get through the wall. Now in any percent normally I would be worried a lot about my ammo and health. In 100% I don't need to, because you have way more ammo, way more health. Because the next part is gonna be intense. And chat, in a few rooms a certain emergency is gonna start. I want you to spam, when that happens, emergency in Frankerzy. But that is 2 rooms from now, which is, well, right about now. So, sector emergency in sector 3. Now basically what happens, the X-Parasites are overheating the reactor in sector 3 to try and take us out. So we're gonna get set there to try and get the reactor to cool down. So it's basically a get to a certain get from A to B as fast as you can, and you get 6 minutes for it. We'll take roughly 1.5 minutes. It's really a lot of time you'll get here. It helps that I know where to go. Now normally you would need to stop at every navigation room, but for this emergency you don't need to stop at this particular navigation room, so I can just keep walking ahead. Stopping there on accident is rough, because it wastes you several seconds. So this time we're back in sector 3 and we're going down soon.
I got a super quick donation for Samus, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Samus's mom just donated €1 saying, "Hello Samus, Mom here. Don't forget your Varia suit upgrade so you don't catch a cold." Heart emoji.
Samus Aran has a bit of a tragic backstory, you know. But well, I'll not mention. I'm not gonna mention it here. It all kind of ruins the mood. So yeah, like I said, get from A to B as quickly as you can. We make use of the enemies as platforms, basically. Whoops. Okay, let's see if we can make this. Okay, I'll make it. That's good. I messed up slightly. Messing up some movements can turn out a bit painful, but we're still okay. Now here we're gonna hopefully make use of an enemy as a platform. Nice. Yeah, if you freeze the enemy in its jump, you can reach the platform from there instead of having to jump all the way around. This is another beam core X-Fight, but we have a lot more space for this, so I'm gonna try to get some doubles in. The easiest to get in by falling. And there we go. Cleared it in slightly more than 1.5 minutes. For 1772. Okay. And we got the wave beam, and the nice thing about the wave beam, it consists of 3 parts, and it does way more damage than the charge beam. So, like I mentioned before, with the missiles and beams straight damage, peak damage back and forth, as in being the most effective weapon. Well, with the ice beam, with the ice missiles, the missiles would have been stronger, but right now the beam got another upgrade, and now the beam is the strongest. Charge beam is the strongest weapon again, with its wide beam upgrade. And in the end, the charge beam will definitely be the weapon to the strongest weapon. Now we're gonna make our way out of this sector, and. Well, it's a bit of climbing, but we'll make use of our ice missiles to good effect here. So I'm gonna use this platform. Enemy has platform. Fire a missile while jumping, so that that enemy gets frozen, and then we can make use of wall jumps and enemies as platforms to get up that room relatively quickly. It's a lot faster than climbing the ladder, really. Let's see how I'm doing. Oh, that's good. That's fine. Took a look on the timer. Now, you see how powerful the wide beam is, as a few shots clear most enemies. So right now, we've visited all sectors at least once. We visited Sector 3 twice, but however, our board computer, actually found some some normal life forms on the ship, and we're gonna get sent there to investigate it. We're hopeful that there's some humans alive on the ship by this point. I don't think it's gonna be. I know it's not gonna be, but I'll give you a little bit of a hint. I mentioned them already before. They taught us how to shine spark in Super Metroid. So yeah, we get back to the main deck where we started. And this is a nice thing. You see how much more powerful you got in your absence, because you now can just dash through the walls, jump around everything. And you see how much faster high jump makes you, because you can easily clear platforms you needed 2 jumps for at the start. So we're getting to the observation deck, I believe. Sometimes I confuse the names of the parts of the ship, so bear with me. Now let's see. Nope, no jump extent today. What you can do, if you shot in mid-air, your vertical velocity gets reset. So that means that you'll start. You basically extend your duration you are in the air. You can use that to grab the ledge there. Now, what we got? No! That one ran straight past the door as it opened. That's mean. Yeah, this is pure RNG, by the way, how fast the animals you get out of the door here. If they run past the door as it opens, it's really slow, because they basically run all the way to the right and before they run back to the left again. And that's, it's really slow. But yeah, it turns out the animals are on this ship. Don't know how they got here, but we saved them for now. And here you see the ugly Varia suit up close. It's really not a pretty sight. But luckily that'll change in about 20 minutes or so. Slightly less. Let's see. Yeah. Our computer is like, too bad they're not human, but oh well. It's hopeful that at least some other life is present on the ship. So yeah, as a note here, it means that saving the animals in Super Metroid is actually canon. It's actually the intended ending, at least by the game. I think several Super Metroid speedrunners would disagree with me. Now, we get back to Sector 5 to download some more upgrades, specifically the power bombs. You can get a power bomb expansion tank earlier using a set of shine sparks. However, you can't use the power bombs early because you need the main upgrade to use the expansion pack. So if you get the main upgrade, you get 10 power bombs to work with. In any percent, that's the amount of power bombs that you need, so you don't pick up any power bomb expansion tanks. But if you pick up that expansion tank earlier and you get the main upgrade, then you start out with 12 power bombs, which is, they add 2 power bombs per tank, so that's correct. Now, this is the second visit to Sector 5, and since we unlocked the security level, we can do a little bit of a different strat here. Let's see if I got it. Okay, cool. Got the Shine Spark. This Shine Spark saves a little bit of time. Now we visit Sector 5 an additional time. An additional 2 times, I should say, actually. And we can do a Shine Spark there as well, but that one is going to be a bit more impressive. But we'll get to that. Of course, we're going to collect our upgrade. We don't need to clear the security level again, so we'll stay right on track and collect our power bombs. As you see, 10 power bombs. Like I said, more than you'll ever need in any percent. In 100%, we pick up a total of 72 power bombs. It's really ridiculous how much we collect. That's a bit of a debate waiting to happen there. That's a fake tank trying to lure us in. But we didn't fall for that trap, so we just kill it and collect the tank and go. Now, the enemy disappeared here, so we can't take the top route, so we have to take the bottom route. And, well, this is another SCX encounter, but we're not going to see the SCX because we're fast enough to just dodge it. And this enemy gives always gives a red X, and the red X well, refills a lot of your HP and energy and missiles. This is another puzzle I have to take. Get back here. This should do. You can get unlucky with the rippers that they're all the way on the left, which means you have to wait for them. But the spawns I got were pretty decent. I do the jump there to cancel out the speed booster you normally would get right around here. A bit nicer for me. And we can use the same move, roughly the same movement here. There is another additional enemy in the way in the next room, which would require a power bomb if you don't get the speed boost. And before we leave the sector, we're gonna get an additional item through the bit of a puzzle. These blocks down here are all crumble blocks, so we need to freeze the enemies in the correct spot and use spring ball to get through. And I got a bit unlucky with the placement here. This should be fine. Yeah, now I have to wait for this one. I need to freeze it slightly further to the left. Oh, shoot. Falling down is a bit costly, unfortunately. Okay, got it. Yeah, it's by no means... Oh, no! Almost recovered it. Recovered it. Almost recovered it. This puzzle is a bit tricky, as you can see. Because misjudging the distance is a bit precarious. I'm going to take it, freeze it slightly more to the left. I think this should do. No. Sometimes you have these days.
Shall I just talk a bit about stuff while we get this done?
Go ahead.
Did you know BSG actually supports several other small community events as well? There will be several upcoming marathons that will be streamed at the BSG channel, such as, for example, the Harvest Moon Marathon. I'll drop a link to the channel there in the chat in a moment. But if you like to see other speedrun events, and especially smaller community events, be sure to check those out.
Finally got it through after losing a good bit of time here. Oh well, it's not the end of the world. Sometimes you have those days. I blame it on the incoming storm outside. A little bit of fun fact: there is a weather alarm currently going on in the Netherlands, so there is a lot of stuff about to happen in public transport.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's like they've been calling it for several days, but it's like I noticed when I was driving here, I pretty much had my steering wheel 10% towards the right the entire road, even though it's like just a straight road, just because my car just got blown to the side all the time.
Yeah, it's quite windy outside, to say the least. I had to walk to the station this morning, and it was I luckily had the wind in my back, so I got there probably a little bit faster than I normally would. But it can get a bit precarious. So we got sent back to our ship with no further explanation. So we're gonna make our way to the ship. Now this is the part of the game we're roughly past the halfway. We're past the halfway point. Where we're gonna get into a little bit of a boss gauntlet soon, as I call it. But the power of the elevator cut, so we have to make our way through this, through our ship a bit differently. I don't know why that block didn't clear out, but well, oh well. It's fine. Luckily, we have our trusty X-ray scope, also known as power bombs, with us, because they also clear hidden. They also reveal hidden items for some reason. Now, in any percent you would want to get the speed boost here and just run straight ahead. And 100% you have to stop anyway to clear it out with power bombs. You don't want to have that happen in the low percent category, because you don't need to pick up any additional expansions. You don't need any expansion tanks to clear the game. The lowest percentage you can clear it on is 0%. Well, if you don't get the speed boost today, well, you're either at low health and get killed by the enemies, or you are in risk of picking up an expansion tank. So that's pretty dangerous. For those categories at least. For any percent it's not really too bad, because you want around 40 to 50 missiles. You need 40 to 50 missiles to clear the game anyway. So that missile tank is an optional. For 100% we need to collect it anyway, so it's completely irrelevant. This energy tank is one of the most difficult ones to dodge in 0%. Now let's see if we're faster than its enemy respawning. Yeah, this hidden item is a pretty easy one to miss, but we got it. And now we can make our way to the boss door. Now this boss is really tricky, so basically... So what you want is you can already fire some missiles into its open mouth at the start of the fight. And I got really lucky by triggering it the first round. It can take up to 4 rounds before it opens. But I got really good RNG and missile placement, so I'm in a good spot. And now we're playing volleyball with this boss. Really good fight, actually. So far, so good on this fight. Since we now have ice missiles, it's pretty difficult to get the doubles in properly. I think that's a double I got there. Nice. Okay. Now we got our next upgrade, the space jump. If you're in spin jump and you can jump in the air indefinitely like this. If you break out of spin, you fall down, but you can re-trigger it. So really useful upgrade. You can also combine it with the speed booster to get a so-called space boost, and that's what usually is the fastest form of movement through this game. Especially if you combine it with the R shot. I'll get to that when I apply it a little bit later in the run. But yeah, the power got cut, whereas we got sent to investigate. Well, we encountered one enemy and managed to restore auxiliary power. So that means safe rooms work again. The doors don't work yet, so we still need to find out what vegetation is choking the reactor. And we basically take the back door into Sector 2, where we get another SCX encounter. Luckily, well, with our ice missiles we can do some pretty creative things. You don't need to flee into that room to dodge it. And we can easily clear this. As a kid, when I played this, that chase by the SCX is one of the scariest things in the game. You really feel chased there. So it's really, like I said, great atmospheric thing by the game. And that power bomb I laid in the room previous to this is to clear it some blocks for later in the run to collect to have a little bit of a shortcut ready. So now we are almost at our next boss already. And the next boss is why you want 40 to 50 missiles in any percent. In the 100% we have a lot more, so we can spam to our heart's delight. Because this boss is really all about spamming missiles into it. Yeah, this is a really easy boss. If you stand on the edge of the platform, its spores can't touch you. So, and we get another beam 4x. Getting doubles into this one is tricky. Don't think that was a double either. And if you see a green beam firing into that beam is plasma beam, which we collect right here. Now plasma beam is a really powerful beam because it deals frames for damage for each frame it's inside of the enemy. So you can imagine it travels through the enemy. So you can imagine that it does a lot of damage to enemies. Now we make our way out of Sector 2. We restored power. That plant was choking the reactor. Now, for you see us taking a lot of detours to collect some items on the way. So in terms of any percent, we haven't majorly deviated from the any percent route. It's just that from time to time we collect some extra items. But at the end of the game, like I said before, we have to collect several extra items that we clear out the sectors then. Because we basically get an upgrade at the very end that allows us to clear some, to collect some items. Behind that wall on the left, there's an entrance to Sector 1, but you would need Screw Attack to get it, and Screw Attack is that aforementioned upgrade. Now those Kai Hunters, those flying bugs you saw there with their stingers out, are the enemies that do the most damage in the entire game. They do 127 energy points. And now we get sent back to our to Sector 5 again, because there's a lot going on in there. There's basically this huge enemy wrecking the sector. Yeah, this next upcoming visit of Sector 5 is a fun technical one. We collect a lot of items, but we also do hopefully do a very impressive trick. Let's hope I get it just right. Yeah, I was right on the 20 minutes. The next enemy, the next boss we're gonna fight is a very appropriately called Nightmare. And for beginning runners, he is a nightmare, because I can explain that in advance. Nightmare is a boss that moves around the room depending on how you move. So that means that his movement is not RNG, it basically depends on how you move. So manipulating the boss correctly is quite a challenge. And now let's see, do I get it? Yes, okay. This shine spark is one of the longest shine sparks in the game. It goes through several rooms, and it's yeah, it's the fastest. It's very fast and also very cool. Now in the next room, there's this the opening in the left wall I need to get. I got it. Good. Otherwise, I would have to go back to that later to collect it. In this room, you have a few crumble blocks you need to dodge. But it's really nice that I got this first try, because that means that saves me a bit of time getting back. And you notice the lag a little bit. This is a GBA game. It's released pretty early into... Metroid Fusion was released pretty early into the life cycle of the GBA. So the GBA struggles at times with some rooms and some bosses in particular. More on that when we get there. Here you see the power of the plasma beam. Basically, one fully charged plasma beam shot does a lot of damage to kills most enemies. A little bit of a hidden item, and here we're gonna hopefully do a very cheeky setup of a power bomb, so that it clears a tunnel for me. So that we can get an item. So you see some very cleverly hidden items throughout the game. And you were already at 20 power bombs and 130 missiles. It's really an overkill. You don't need that many missiles to play the game. Now, normally for this energy tank, the game intends you to clear a bomb path out through the top. But if you're fast enough, you can just ledge grab and get it that way. That's much faster. So here we go, Nightmare. It's all about manipulating its movements. Plasma Beam doesn't help this boss, since its hitbox is only a pixel wide. So White Beam would actually have done more damage to this boss, funnily enough. It's really sad if you think about it. So our main form of damage is missiles, and you see the lag it generates with all the sprites on the screen. Okay, that's a position I could work with. There we go. That's the normal boss fight done. So now to hopefully get some doubles on the core X. Didn't get the opening double. The opening double is pretty tricky to get because it's a matter of timing. Yeah, with Space Jump, it's pretty easy to dodge the core X's. The core X fights are roughly always the same. So, remember how I hate the Varia suit colors? Well, we got the Gravity suit now. Gravity suit means unhindered movement underwater. That also means that we can use our speed booster there and move a lot quicker through the next few segments. It's really cool what we're gonna do here. Doing a little bit of a showy Shine Spark here. Clear the enemies, because I need a bit of a runway for this trick here. Because I need to get an item here, and this is a very well hidden item, because you basically tend to run past the wall and not look back. And what I see me do here is a space boost, so space jump plus speed boost. And I use the R shot to open the door, so I could continue space boosting through it. And that's why you can use several times to get the fast movements through several rooms. Now, this room here is by far one of the worst rooms in this entire game. Luckily, it's only 100% exclusive, so in any percent you don't have to deal with it. But this Sector 4 segment, because we're in Sector 4 right now, is one of the most dangerous segments, because you'd think like, usually you take a lot of damage on Nightmare and you think like, oh, okay, I think I'm in the clear right now, but all the enemies in this part of the game deal a ton of damage. So it's if you're in any percent condition, say you have 2 or 3 E-tanks, you take a few hits and all of a sudden you're at low health. Need to make my way through this game, through this sector. It's a bit tricky, and here we have no choice but to unlock last sector security level 4 to continue. So now all doors are open. This is also one of the reasons why the cleanup of all the most sectors is at the last part of the game. You also need all sectors to be open. This is a kind of a room where the doors only open if you kill certain enemies, but those enemies need to spawn first, so it's a bit of tricky. It's a bit of a setup room. Luckily, not too difficult, but clever. A lot of the items are hidden behind clever puzzles. Some item rooms are lazy, however. I'll point them out when we get there. Yeah, this underwater sector is really cool in terms of design. It's really soothing music as well, and that's also what makes it really treacherous. Another hidden item. Like I mentioned before, Sector 4 is the first sector we clear, and we clear it on this visit. So as soon as we leave Sector 4, after we're done with this entire segment, basically we have all the items in here. I can check if I have all the items, but I'll do that once I head for the exit. So now here I'm setting up for a pretty tight trick. Let's hope I get it. Okay. Yes. Okay, I got it. Whew, that's pretty tight to get. You basically only have 3 seconds before your shine charge runs out. Getting that first try getting that trick the right way is really nice. Because otherwise you have to drop down below and set up another speed boost and Shine Spark. And that's a lot slower. So here we get an item that's an upgrade that's really useless, the so-called diffusion missiles. The fusion missiles, you can hold the R button, which triggers the missiles, and then it charges the missiles. And if you fire a missile with the charge, then it does that kind of stuff. It does 1 HP of damage or something, but it freezes enemies around. It's really useless. And on top of that, your missiles do more damage, but they also fire a lot slower and travel faster, so it gets yet even harder to fire doubles. So yeah, it's not the best upgrade. You do need it to get... It's one of the 2 ways to get out of there. You can also use a very complicated Shine Spark chain, but the game will be like, yeah... the game will show you a secret message like, yeah, well done, but still gonna go collect the item. So the developers actually thought of that quote-unquote secret break. And I don't call it a secret break because you still get sent back to the item to collect it, so it's really useless. In the English version, which was released earlier than the Japanese version, the room to the left of the diffusion missile, the data room where you get the diffusion missiles, is different. And if you curve the missile, so move and fire the missile in a specific way, you can actually freeze the enemy in the tunnel and get through there without the fusion missiles. That's another way to get the secret message, but it works in the English version only, because the developers moved the things in the room around for the Japanese version. Japanese version also got a few more things. It got the easy and hard difficulty modes, which are its separate categories. Hard mode is pretty intense because you only get 2 missiles per missile tank and half an E-tank per energy tank, I believe, and 1 power bomb per power bomb tank. So it's a bit more intense overall. You have a lot less ammo to work with. Now we're back to Sector 6 again, and yeah, the security robot Box, which we fought earlier, has got rogue, infected by X-parasites. So yeah, the computer wants us to kill it and get out. We got our ship to get here. We got from the Galactic Federation. Yeah, they're a little bit worried behind the scenes, and we'll find out about that soon. This is the wall I bombed earlier to prepare for this visit, basically. Now we're gonna go a little bit of a different way, direction into this sector. Because we need to head all the way down. Yeah, plasma beam makes quick work of a lot of enemies. We'll just gotta see what's down here, because it looks interesting down here. However, when we get down here, and it's hidden, locked behind the sector security level 4, we notice that there's a locked gate, and it says no entry without authorization. We'll get to that in a second, because we hear some rumbling in the distance. And that means that our good friend Box is gonna make an appearance. So Box, how are you doing?
Yeah, do tell, Box. How are you doing?
I am doing fine, thanks.
How does it feel to fight yourself, basically? Well, a robot named after you, that is.
It feels satisfying to demolish it.
There can be only one, right?
There's only one Meister. Let's put it this way. Now, in this fight, there is a theoretical setup. There is a theoretical and task-only setup to get doubles in here, but it's incredibly tight. Really tight. But luckily, we defeat Box rather quickly, 4 missiles into the beam core, and we got the wave beam. And wave beam means it'll travel through walls as well, so we can actually open the gates. So we're gonna investigate even though we're not allowed to, which is fun. Doing stuff that we're not allowed to. Yeah, like I mentioned, the Metroids are extinct by this point in the series. Or, well, are they? Because here in this laboratory we see a bunch of them. Just to get a little bit ahead on the story, basically the Galactic Federation has a secret laboratory where they cloned the Metroids for scientific use. Yeah, one of the SCXs got into this restricted laboratory, but luckily the Metroids make short work of it, because Metroids are the natural predator of the X-parasites. Little bit of a short escape sequence, but it's pretty easy to get it under 7 seconds, that escape. And the whole restricted laboratory gets jettisoned into space. And we get scolded by our Galactic Federation computer here.
It's funny to see you do that in like 7 seconds. I think I had like 3 seconds left on the clock when I made it casually.
I remember watching that, actually.
Yeah, that it's definitely harder than it looks.
Yeah, to put it a bit more into perspective, you saw those Metroids floating around. If you space jump into those Metroids, you break out of spin and you have to reset your space jump. Which for the unexperienced players most likely means you'll fall down. and have to try again. So it's a bit of a maze you have to navigate through, and it's RNG-like. So it's definitely not as easy as it looks. But by now I'm pretty experienced with it. So here we get back to Sector 1. Wow. And this is where it starts to look like a more classical Metroid with the fortress thing. It looks a bit like Torian, this segment really. Like Torian in Zero Mission and Super Metroid. We have a lot of, we have a few items to collect in here. But our progress does get blocked a little bit. And here we need to basically spawn a number of enemies to open the door on the right. And these golden pirates, you need to shoot them in the back, but the game checks this by checking if you're facing the same direction as pirates. So the way you can kill them pretty quickly is just to fire a shot and quickly turn around. Laying that power bomb down. That enemy was right on top of me, unfortunately. Oh well. And here you spawn another set of golden pirates. That's one. That's two. Also, for those of you wearing headsets in chat, get ready, because you might want to turn the volume up or down depending on what you like. Because this is gonna be fun, this fight here. Because it's Ridley, and Ridley is pretty loud. And the GBA really struggles with the Ridley sprite, as you may be able to see. Okay, that's a Ridley fight. And now we clear it to get one of the most broken upgrades ever. It's a matter of time and timing. Yeah, timing is can be a bit tricky because it's a small room. Okay, we're fine. So, right now we got Screw Attack. And Screw Attack, if you spin jump into any non-boss enemy, they die instantly. What we usually try to do in this room is to dodge all the enemies. No, I killed one. It's a challenge, we do.
It doesn't actually save any time though, does it?
No, 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 no. You're using space jump, so it's a constant horizontal movement. What I did on the Ridley fight, by the way, I fired you saw me firing diagonal shots, and the reason I fire diagonal shots is because Plasma Beam does damage per frame it's inside the enemy, and with the Wave Beam added on top of that, does a lot of damage per frame it's inside the enemy, and with the diagonal shot it stays inside the enemy longer, which means it does way more damage. Now, up until this point we have been following the any percent route more or less, but this is where the route starts to deviate, because here we're gonna start the cleanup. Gonna collect a lot of items per sector. And that means that you see a lot of shine sparks and other fun ways to collect items. Here I'm setting up for a shine spark. And apparently my down input got eaten, so it's fine. I'll use what's known as a Screw Attack wall jump, I'll call it. If you have a ladder and you have Screw Attack, then you basically can still do a sort of a wall jump by just grabbing the ladder, so it's like toing, 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 bouncing upwards. Now here we have to do a couple of shine sparks. One to collect an item on the right and one to collect an item on the left, in the room where we fought the boss for the charge beam. Now this is the first item. it's a fun little puzzle. Yeah, you can see why we can't collect this item on our first visit, because you need these blocks cleared out right here. And you can only do that with screw attack. So now we're gonna get the second item. This one's a bit more tricky because I have to do a space jump. And this should do. There we go. Yeah, we'll basically visit all 6 sectors one more time and clear all the items in there. Sector 4 has already been cleared. But well, it's a quick passage through, basically. And the nice thing, at the end of each sector, I can have a check, because I'm running from an cleared game file, as it's called. And if you have a cleared game file, you basically have a checklist per sector with all the items collectible in there. So I can check if I have all the items I need at the end of a sector. And that's a nice added safety, because I do want to get a good ending. How I'm doing on time? Yeah, this is good. This is going fine, I think. Should be. Yeah, Sector 1 is fun, because yeah, you are way overpowered when you visit this sector right now. Now this particular room you can also do using a space boost, but it's pretty, if you miss the item and have to get back into that, it's slower, so usually it's way more consistent to just go for a Shine Spark. Yeah, the space boost is only faster because you don't have the bonking animation at the end. Now normally in any percent you would go through this room as well, because it's a shorter way to the entrance. And then you would climb up here left and get to the navigation room and trigger the end game. In 100% we're gonna go a different route. We'll collect this item and yeah, we have all the items in there. You saw the number of total energy tanks, missile tanks and powerbomb tanks, and at the top you saw 3 icons. If those icons have a check mark through them, that means that you have collected all the energy tanks, all the power bombs, all the missiles. And yeah, you have at the edges of each sector you have these walls with screw attack, and you can use them as a shortcut to the next sector. And that saves us a lot of time from not having to go through the not having to go through to the elevator. Okay, that space boost is satisfying to get. Because it's, if you go too high, you bump into the ceiling and you drop out of space boost. And yeah, this sector 3 has a few more items downstairs, so we're gonna get them. And with screw attack and wave beam, it's really fast, and I need a bit more leeway for the speed boost here. This is one of the few places where you can go for a bomb jump, but it's pretty tight to time it, because you can use it to boost yourself a little bit earlier. Because while the power bump is going off, you can't ledge grab. So we're headed down here, and we're gonna collect several items. There's a lot of items to collect. You collect a total of in this game, you collect a total of 250 missiles, 72 power bombs, and 20 E-tanks, I believe. So yeah, that's really insane. Gotta go for a trick here. Yeah, it's pretty tight to get the Shine Spark. Unfortunately, I didn't get it. We'll try. We'll try the normal way then, which is just clearing the wall, charging here, and we'll fire it upwards. And there's not one item in this room, no, there's 2. You already see the second one passing by. Yeah, you need some of them are well hidden, some of them are pretty obvious. inside. So yeah, and there's several items. Well, these items are pretty well hidden because these are crumb blocks, so the game expects you to get these items using space jump, which we have, so it's easy. Now, here we're gonna set up for a space boost, and hopefully I'll get it. Okay, that should do. Yeah, this is pretty fast to do it this way. And here we have a little bit of a maze, collecting another item. Did I just dodge that enemy by ball jumping? That looks smooth. Oh, nice. Yeah, so far so good. We've collected, we only have 2 more items to collect in this sector, if I remember correctly. I mean, most of this game you run by muscle memory, so you don't actively keep track of how many tanks did I collect, but you know the numbers at the top, and you basically know where you need to go next. That's how you go at this, usually. Yeah, that ladder climb is a bit tricky to get right. Now here, we're gonna set up for another Shine Spark. And this is a pretty cool one to get. Because this room is pretty long. There is an alternate route where it's slightly faster to walk, but Shine Sparking that room looks way more fun. And it's half a second difference or something. It's really not as worthwhile as one might think. And here's a little exit and a very sneakily hidden item on the top here. And we're done with Sector 3. Yes, we are. So now we collect an item in here. Sector 5 is relatively short. We have most of the items already in the sector. Those single bomb blocks are a bit difficult to screw attack at times. We'll make do. Yeah, we're almost done. We're almost done collecting stuff. Okay, let's do this. Oh, that door wasn't open. That's fun. Well, luckily setting it back up is not too slow. It is slow, however. It's really a big item collectathon we're doing right now. But we only have a few more sectors to go, so it's coming along quite nice, actually. And some items are in peculiar locations. And some of them have really cool puzzles, however. So, up next is Sector 6, and Sector 6 is where the most difficult sector by far to collect items in. Because it has some pretty unforgiving sequences you need to do. So let's set this up. Now the fastest way to get to the next room and to collect the item would be to use a space boost. However, that space boost is really unforgiving because you have only little room to maneuver. So usually it's faster to, if you're not as experienced, to just go for a different setup. And I was trying to go for a simple Shine Spark to get it, but this one also works. That's pretty consistent. Now let's see. Okay, I got it. Good. Here you need a space boost to collect this item. Oops. I almost fell through. Yeah, this the items in this room are tricky, but they're not the worst actually. I mean, you have a pretty consistent way of getting it either way, of getting them either way. A couple of the upcoming items are gonna be. One item in particular will be tough. I'll mention it when we get there. But first we're gonna go back to where the restricted laboratory was. And now, if you would play this casually, you would expect, well, why don't you shine spark upwards? Well, the reason is if you shine spark upwards, you get locked into endgame. You don't want that. Because if you get up there, you only have a navigation room, you get locked into endgame, not fun. And it's really slow to get loop around, because we need other items to collect in Sector 6. Doing it like this is the fastest way by far. So yeah, you need to get a space boost there, and you have enough room to do so, but it can be tricky at times. A little bit of a habit that I morphed there, but you don't need to since Box already is dead. Let's see. Now this item up there is the dangerous item, and I'll explain in a bit. Now the game expects you to freeze an enemy on the top of the crumble blocks to get across, but it's much faster to just try and jump off of it. But that's unfortunately frame perfect. There are days where it takes you first try, there are days where it takes you a lot more tries. You can also do it really swaggy with the spring ball, from what I remember, but yeah, I'm mashing like crazy, in case you, there you go, in case you're not seeing, and oh, I got the spring ball back, that's good. But yeah, that item is the most difficult item to get in this sector, and it doesn't look difficult, I'm well aware of that, but it is pretty difficult. Now here we got a setup for a sneaky little new trick I've learned. Let's see if I can get this. No, almost got it. Oh, I need to reset the room. This room has a bomb puzzle. You need to bomb the things at specific locations, otherwise you get these barriers up, and you need these platforms to set up for a speed boost, basically. So like this. And then I should be able to get it. There we go. What I was trying to do with the power bomb in the room previous to this was to basically open the door and spark right through so you can collect the item in one go. But the setup is a bit tight. Can be a bit tight. Let's put it that way. Yeah, that block respawns really fast, so you need a specific form of movement to get it. And I got all the items in this sector, so this sector 6 is also cleared. Now we get to sector 4 next. Well, as you may have remembered, we already cleared sector 4. I'll double check just in case. And then afterwards we'll go to sector 2, and sector 2 is the last normal sector we need to clear. And after that, there's only one item on the main deck left to collect, and we're done. Yes, this sector is definitely cleared. Yeah, how fast can you get to sector 2? Well, it's pretty fast. The sector 2 is already over here. I'm doing quite well time-wise, I think. Now this particular room is treacherous. All these blocks down here are crumble blocks, and if you fall down you have to set it up again. So getting through this is not as easy as I made that look just now. As you see, if you land on it, you fall down and you need to get lucky. Whew, first try. that's good. This room can waste you several minutes if you're having a bad day, basically. As you can practice it all you want. If you have a bad day and you're slightly off in timing, well, you're in for a good time. And not as in speedrunner good time, but as in sarcastic good time. Yeah, we cleared a lot in Sector 2 already, but we'll clear the remaining items really quick. And some of them are in really strange spots, really. Of course I got shot by the enemy. But yeah, as you can see, we have 2 complete rows of energy tanks, so that means we got all the energy tanks already. Pretty close to having all the missiles as well. This room is... almost got it. There is a faster way to do it without the rippers, but you need to get lucky with the crumble jump. Let's see... How do I get the automatic unmorph there? How? The game does really weird stuff at times. Okay, this looks workable. Okay, there we go. A little bit of a tricky room to get right. I mean, it's one of the last few punishing tricks, basically. There's one more, and that's the last few items we collect in this sector. These rooms are pretty easy though, now that we have gravity suit and space jump. Because you can just, well, jump your way around in here and collect stuff. And we should be alright on our missiles right now, I think. I mean, I could double check soon. There's 1, 2, 3, yeah, 3 more items to collect, that's correct. There's 2 more items in this sector and you have the item on the main deck. So I'm perfectly on pace here. All things are as they should be. It's not gonna be a PB, I know I can tell that already, but it's gonna go well under estimates, I can tell you. In fact, it goes so far under estimate that I'm gonna try and show off a fun little thing. Don't worry, I will take a safety for it, it's not as bad. Now this room is a crumble block speed boost puzzle. The problem is if you just press A straight up, use Shine Spark, so it's a bit tricky to get to... You do need to get a spin jump going, and actually I can do this. But at the very least we cleared the puzzle in one go, so... Now, for that item, you could go for a Shine Break at the top, but that one is really tricky and really tight, but you can also do this one. And that's all the items in Sector 2, so we'll make our way to the main deck right now. And we're not gonna take the navigation room out. There's another way we actually can go, and it's much faster, because we can get the navigation room pretty much right next to the final boss, instead of at the top of the sector where you need to take another elevator and such. Because you remember how we got into Sector 2 earlier when we had the power issues with the vegetation? Well, that route is still open, actually, and the vegetation is gone, so we can go at this a little bit quicker. We're getting close to the end. Because, you know, with the vegetation gone, this reactor looks a lot different, because now it looks like an actual reactor. instead of being overgrown. And we're right next to our ship right now. And we need to collect one more item, which is a power bomb tank. And this power bomb tank is all the way up here. You can lay a power bomb to kill this thing, or you can just screw attack straight through. That power bomb I laid down with a reason, and hopefully I'll make that. Okay, still made it before respawning the block. And yeah, with this we can get to the navigation room to trigger endgame, and then we're gonna fight the final bosses. Just as a double check, 20 E-tanks, 48 missile tanks, 32 power bomb tanks. We have all the items. Nice little checklist. Very convenient. So, a lot of text, a lot of plot. Now, basically our board computer, Sam has named it after her old commander at the start of the game. She called it Adam. And Adam, well, it turns out Federation wants to try and capture the X-Parasites and use it as a weapon, maybe. But Samus thinks that's way too dangerous to let this happen, because they devour everything in sight. It's too dangerous to keep them alive. So she's gonna try and take down the space station, and with it the X-Parasites, because the space station is in an orbit around SR388. And that's and what the computer actually gets. She accidentally calls the computer Adam at this point, and turns out that our board computer is actually the digitized mind of her former commander Adam Malkovich. And he actually agrees in a change of heart, and he gives us a better plan. Change the orbit for the space station, that it crashes into the planet SR388, which would wipe out not only the X-Parasites on the space station, but also on the planet SR388, which would make the species extinct. And as a result, it would also blow up SR388, which is also a thing. But yeah, we just need to change the orbit at the control deck, where we got our missiles first. But as you may have guessed, we're gonna have a couple of final bosses to deal with. And the first one being the very obvious one, the SCX. And I mistimed the missile. That's unfortunate. Luckily, fighting it on the ground is still pretty easy, if you're experienced. Of course it jumps backwards. Let's see. Okay, I still killed it. So what you're trying to go there at the top is you try to freeze it in place and fire diagonal shots at it, which would allow you to kill the thing in 4 or 5 diagonal shots. Now what I'm gonna do here is a cheesy strat. I can lock it under a platform and just kill it in 6 missile shots. This Beam Core X. A little bit of a spoiler, it's Ice Beam. However, we're not gonna collect it here, because it flees away. And we're gonna set the orbit for the ship. So I want tech to already be a bit ready on time, because it'll, in about 1.5 minutes from now, we're finished. So, a little bit of an escape sequence. Shall we do this? Yeah, we have an overkill of missiles. We have an overkill of power bombs. We just need to make our way back to the ship. I didn't make that strat. Oh well. So here we're gonna try and get a showy little Shine Spark. Unfortunately, my down input got eaten. And what did cause all this damage to this bay? Well, there's some damage here, and we don't know why. Well, turns out one of the Metroids from the restricted laboratory survived. And this is an Omega Metroid, the last life cycle of a Metroid. So it's a fully grown Metroid, and it's way powerful than us at this point. Metroids, I should mention, are weak to ice. Well, our SCX tries to kill it by itself, but gets killed, which allows us to collect one weapon we still need, the Ice Beam. Now, let's see if we can get this setup going. I'm not getting the setup. I'm almost there. Get ready. Because we're about done. And a sub 155 even. Was a bit of a sloppy final boss fight, but I'll take it. So, ready? Time. And there goes the space station into the planet, and the planet will go down with a blast. Now, one little mystery this game got remaining for us: who moved the spaceship? Because the computer itself cannot move our ship; it has to be manually controlled. Well, turns out that our computer Adam got a little help. Not by the Galactic Federation, I should say, but you'll see it soon. As soon as I'm through this cutscene. This is a slow cutscene but bear with me. But a 154 I'm pretty happy with. It's about 5 minutes away from my PB. I had a few little rough spots, so I'll take it. So, we're gonna get our answers soon. In one of the most adorable pictures out of the Metroid series, I should say. Because yeah, Adam got a little help. As he said, they lent me a hand. Yeah, adorable, isn't it? The animals save us in this game. What a plot twist. Now, normally for a Metroid Fusion run, you would want to see the end screen with the 100%. This is not a PB, so there's no need for me to show it. But I'll leave it up to the guys behind the desk.
I'm just gonna give the other guys a look. I mean, we can have the credits play while I talk about some stuff.
Go ahead.
I guess we might as well, right? We can just keep it playing. We've got time here, I believe. I think we're like 20 plus minutes ahead of schedule at this point, so it's like, sure. In any case, hello everybody and welcome to BSG 33. We are the Benelux Speedrunner gathering. We organize bi-monthly gatherings in the Benelux for speedrunners. We're currently streaming from the esports game arena in Alphen aan den Rijn in the Netherlands, and we're raising money for the Dutch Cancer Society, which is a nationwide organization committed to fight cancer while aiming for more cure and a higher quality of life for those already battling the disease. Now, cancer really is one of those diseases where, you know, helping find a cure is not just in the benefit of the people here in the Netherlands, but of course that helps everybody worldwide. So be sure to get your donations in. All of the donations do go to the Dutch Cancer Society. So be sure to do that. And when you do that, we still have a few donation incentives. The next one coming up is the incentive for the Goats versus Penguin in the Goat Simulator MMO quest. Currently, Penguin has a steady €36.37 lead over Goat, but if you want to change that, be sure to get your money in on that. We also have the final boss without stunlock in Omen Sight, which is currently sitting at 21 out of 75, so 54 more and that will be met. And then we also have the hard mode for Elmenside. Just going to make that run even more difficult. It's currently sitting at 17 euros out of 100. So if you want to get to see the runners play in hard mode, be sure to get your money in on that.
I'll take over for a half a minute from here. The ending screens differ by how quickly you cleared the game and by what percentage you collected. As soon as you get it under 4 hours of clear time, you get the good endings without the suit, where you can see Samus without the suit, yeah. And for 100% you also get a different ending compared to any percent. So it's a bit of a reward for the player, we call it. With this, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for watching this. I want to thank BSG for having me. Give a shout out to the Metroid Fusion community, because you guys are awesome. And with this, I want to hand it back to you guys.
Well, thank you, Box. Thank you for that fantastic run of